imagine being a Democrat who understands the importance of getting Donald Trump out of office because of his authoritarian tendencies and his brutal behavior toward the press, and then turning around and doing the exact same thing that Trump does. Well, that's what we saw over the weekend by a Joe Biden advocate by the name of Lindy Li. She's one of his surrogates. And she tweeted and then later deleted the following tweet. Now that Tara Reade's story has completely imploded, which, by the way, that's not true. She just made that up. I hope the FBI investigates Nathan Robinson, Katie Halper, Ryan Grimm for their role in this fraud. Tara, or whatever your actual name is, you have gravely harmed the Me Too survivors. And then she uses the hashtags, I believe Biden, I believe Joe, Tara Reade is a liar. Now, I just want to note, the deputy communications director for the Biden campaign came out and condemned this. And his name's Bill Russo. I'm glad that he did. He said, to be clear, you do not speak for this campaign and are not representing our values with comments like this. If you really support the Biden campaign, you would do well to see the VP's or vice president's recent comments about how we respond with dignity and respect. So to Bill Russo, you're doing a good job communicating the right way to handle this. So thank you. And Lindy Li later deleted the tweet. But understand what she's calling for there. She's calling for an FBI investigation into journalists who merely did their jobs in reporting on this story. It's disgusting and terrifying.
You know, here's what I've discovered about the world. Breaking news. There's a lot of disturbed people on the planet, and a lot of them have very official jobs. They look like credible people, and they get validation through things like being delegate for a major candidate like Joe Biden. But there's now been a number of things that Lindy Li has said that are strange, to put it mildly. And so this would have been more concerning if it had gained traction. But if it's just one delegate and the campaign denounces them, then the damage is limited. But the idea of suggesting that you should arrest reporters who don't agree with you, well, that would be Trumpian, obviously, and maybe even beyond. And at least there is some strand of it in the establishment. And, you know, look, it's not fair to put it on everyone else, as I just explained. At the same time, what she's doing is a more extreme version of what you do see all over Twitter and from the entire establishment, which is that this topic originally was verboten. So when Ryan Grimm first covered it for The Intercept, there was a ton of criticism. Nobody went as far as Lindy did in saying that he should be arrested, but they said he lost credibility. When he was bringing the story, same reporter at The Intercept, also a contributor at the Young Turks, bringing the Christine Blasey Ford story, they thought he was an American hero. When he breaks a part of the Tara Reade story, they're like, well, we always said, in fact, Howard Dean even said it. We always said that The Intercept is not legitimate. Ryan Grimm is not legitimate. So Lindy's taking it one step further, saying, well, if he's not legitimate, as every one of my friends in the establishment agrees, well, now, you know, I say I'll go further. And by the way, a giant step forward, don't get me wrong. And he should be arrested, and so should Katie Halper, et cetera. And so those instincts are there. It's good to see the Biden campaign at least being forcefully against that.
Exactly. And you know, you kind of referenced this, but let me give more details to the audience. Lindy Li has gotten into trouble in the past because of some of the deceptive ways she operates. So she lost her job as treasurer of the Pennsylvania Young Democrats in February after tweeting out a doctored video of Biden's then opponent, Senator Bernie Sanders. And by the way, in regard to her call to have the FBI investigate reporters who are simply doing their jobs in investigating Tara Reade's accusations, don't forget that Joe Biden, the accused person here, told Mika Brzezinski just last week that these are the types of things that should be investigated. If you forgot, here's the video.
Your words, should we not start off with the presumption that the essence of what she's talking about is real? She says you sexually assaulted her.
Look, from the very beginning, I've said believing women means taking the woman's claims seriously. when she steps forward and then vet it, look into it. That's true in this case as well. Women have a right to be heard, and the press should rigorously investigate claims they make. I'll always uphold that principle. I'm not suggesting she had no right to come forward, and I'm not saying any woman, they should come forward. They should be heard, and then it should be investigated. It should be investigated.
So again, Biden called for the claims to be investigated. And I just want to remind you all of what he said about the Blasey Ford accusations back in September of 2018. He said the following. This is the last graphic. For a woman to come forward in the glaring lights of focus nationally, you've got to start off with the presumption that at least the essence of what she's talking about is real, whether or not she forgets facts, whether or not it's been made worse or better over time.
Yeah. But, that cuts two ways, because if he knew that he had sexually assaulted someone like that before, would he have made that strong a statement? I don't know.
I'm not really interested in pop psychology. I don't know how his brain works. But what I do know is that there was a certain...
Did it or not. So I don't know. But I will tell you this. There is something we clearly do know, and I don't want to let this go without making this point. Now, the Biden campaign and the mainstream media think it's perfectly legitimate to ask about Tara Reade, to investigate the issue. But back during the primaries, they all thought it was illegitimate. The New York Times did not cover it at all. CNN did not cover it at all. None of the major outlets covered it, even though that is when the story broke. For several weeks, they chose not to cover the story. And yes, the establishment at the time was saying that it was guys like Ryan Grimm who were covering it were illegitimate. And they were questioning the motives of even the reporters, saying, well, is Katie Halper a Bernie Sanders supporter? So thereby saying that anything that anyone ever says that's a progressive is disqualified from a national conversation. So, but now that Biden is against the Republican opponent, and by the way, it wasn't just the media, it was also Biden's campaign. They refused to have Biden make any comment about it during the primaries. They dismissed it by their actions as illegitimate. But now that the mainstream media has picked it up, they're like, oh, okay. Now that ABC and CNN are asking me about it, it's now legitimate. So it isn't about respecting Tara Reade. It isn't about respecting women. It's about who are you running against. If you're running against a Republican, all of a sudden it's a legitimate question that the entire media will completely flip on and go from illegitimate to legitimate. But if you're running against a progressive, who cares? We're never going to cover it. It is what it is, and we're not going to respond to it, and we don't respect Tara Reade or women or anything else as long as we're running against a progressive. That's the facts of what happened here, and they are absolutely indisputable.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.